Epstein, the team's general manager, of course, is busy burning the phone lines. One of the prospects just about every team in baseball is interested in when you talk about the Red Sox organization is Kevin Youkilis, one of the best on-base guys in all of baseball. That's the subject of tonight's Boston Globe Player Profile. The runner goes in the 3-2 pitch. The ball sent up the middle. It's falling fast. It's going to be a base hit.
Well, there you go again. You work the count. He gets a pitch up in the zone that he can hit, and Youkilis is on base once again. What a surprise.
Phenomenal. You know, for a young player, his knowledge of the strike zone, I saw it last year when he first came up to me in his first full season of pro ball, was a lot higher than other guys do at that stage of their career.
Up the middle and through into center field for a hit.
He's a difficult guy to hit with. He has a short stroke. He puts the ball in play, uses the middle field really well.
Back up the middle and knocked out at second base. Everybody says.
My approach is to get a good pitch to hit, and that's the key. I mean, you got to go up there and get the right pitches to hit. I mean, there's no use in going up there and swinging at bad pitches early in the count.
Youkilis has developed into an on-base machine. He is so advanced in his play discipline that even his coaches in Portland are amazed.
He's always hitting 2-1, 3-1. He draws walks. He's not afraid to take a walk. You know, there's a big difference between a guy saying, well, he walks all the time, and that's not the case with this young man. But he will take a walk. He takes what the game has given him.
I don't know where he learned that at, but it's one of the hardest things to learn in baseball, and he sure does have a good grasp on it. He's a difficult guy to pitch with because he stands on top of the dish, first of all, and his hands are out over the plate, and he just knows the strike zone better than anyone in this league. I'll tell you flat out, that is the truth on that.
A good hitter is going to be one that dictates his own at-bats. You know, not allowing the pitcher to pitch in certain counts that are hitters' counts. Basically, you just got to go out there and, you know, make sure you control your at-bat and not the pitcher.
In just his third season in the Red Sox farm system, the former University of Cincinnati Bearcat has moved quickly, but understands there is more to learn.
I'm never satisfied with the job at hand. You know, I could go 3 for 4, and I'm still mad because I didn't get that one. You know, it's kind of greedy, they say, but, you know, what they say is you got to be greedy as a baseball player. You want to go out there, you want to, you know, you're not going to get a hit every time, but you want to, you know, every time you have to have that mental approach that you're trying to go up and get a hit every at-bat.
Thanks to Eric Freed for that look at Kevin Youkilis. And I'll tell you what, Sam, we talk about the minor league system. The fact is the Red Sox minor league team's doing very well.
Right, and earlier everyone was saying that they had depleted their minor league system, so it's good to see them on the rebound. Yes,
the Paw Sox actually leading the wild card. They're only a game and a half out of first place. Portland is in first place, and Lowell off to a strong start at 14-10. And the Red Sox basically signing most of their draft picks, too, in the recently completed draft. So things looking good in the minor leagues for the Red Sox. Up next, we'll talk more baseball. It's the Baseball Notebook from the Boston Globe, and it's next on NESN. Now it's time for our Mike's Hard Lemonade discovery of the day. And 6 years ago today, Roger Clemens returning to Fenway with the Toronto Blue Jays in his first game against the Red Sox. He strikes out 16 Sox batters on his way to a 3-1 win. Red Sox pitchers had 13 strikeouts, so quite a day at Fenway Park. Hey, it's deja vu all over again. It's time for our notebook. It's the same two characters, Tom Karen with Bob Holler. And part of the big news around baseball, Uki Urbina has been traded from Texas to Florida.
Yeah, that is big news, Bob, and very interesting because clearly, Bob, the Florida Marlins think they've got a shot at that National League wildcard spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a long shot, you'd think, but, you know, Urbina's an accomplished guy. You know, the question is he going to be a setup? You know, he is going to be a setup guy. Does he want to be a setup guy? He's saying all the right things, but you know, we all know in his heart he sees himself as a closer. So we'll see what kind of, you know, effect it has on their chemistry down there. And again, it's a long shot, I think, for them.
And it's early enough. You wonder that if they fade here over the next couple of weeks, they may turn around and deal them again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Mike Lowell, too. I mean, he's another guy who's going to be hot on the market, too, if they start to dip.
Now, the next item on our checklist is the slumping Toronto Blue Jays, although they've put about 8 runs up on the board in the last 2 innings against the Yankees. But we went in there at the beginning of the week, and the big talk in Toronto was, will they be buyers or sellers? Clearly, it appears they're going to be sellers. They're falling from the race fast.
Yeah. They're making a last gasp stab at it today and sending Roy Halladay out there. And it seems to have worked today, but I mean, right now, they're 9 games out. Shannon Stewart will likely be in the market. I'm not sure who else, but yeah, they'll be sellers.
And speaking of Roy Halladay, a little bit of a controversy. Carlos Tosca, while we were there last week or earlier this week, saying that Halladay wouldn't pitch in the All-Star game. Well, apparently he said that before talking to Roy Halladay and before talking to Mike Scioscia. He will pitch out in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, how much we don't know, but you know, Scioscia said if this guy's going to be an All-Star, he's going to pitch, and we're not going to be sitting here and, you know, getting a free meal. He's, you know, so he's out there, and you know, if they need him, he'll pitch.
On the National League side, there was a little bit of a controversy. Everyone wanted to see, or a lot of people wanted to see Dontrell Willis go. Well, he will be going now.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's one of the most exciting young pitchers. You know, he's on the mold of Fidrich and Valenzuela and Vida Blue, and you know, he's had a sensational start, real phenom. So I think it's great for the fans to be able to see him out there this week.
Although chosen over Kerry Wood, of course, Dusty Baker might have gone for the local guy.
You know, yeah, true. There's a lot of guys, a lot of great pitchers who aren't going to be there this season, as well as a lot of great players who aren't going to be there this year.
And the final statement, if we will, on Sausage Gate: 3 games and a fine for Randall Simon.
Well, I know a lot of people in the press box are kind of stunned that it's the 3-game suspension. I mean, a lot of guys don't get that for much more egregious, or in a lot of people's eyes, much more egregious things. You know, charging them out and that kind of thing, it gets reduced. So, you know, he made a bad decision, poor judgment, and he's going to pay a dear price.
Well, I think doing it at Bud Selig's home park probably didn't help his cause very much.
That's right. Yeah.
So the sanctity of the mascot is protected out in Milwaukee, and that's the latest Globe Notebook here from the field as we get ready. Now, Bob, I know you've got Jerry Remy coming up next. I've heard rumors that he may be unavailable for the All-Star game, too. You'll have to check in with him.
What's his injury?
Well, it's undisclosed, you know, day to day.
All right, we'll try to drag it out of him. Thanks a lot, Tom Carrot. Well, up next on the Boston Globe pregame report, we will talk to Jerry Remy, but first we want you to log on to boston.com/sports to answer our poll question. Do you agree with the Red Sox decision to shuffle the rotation so Pedro will face the Yankees? Boston.com/sports, the place to be. And up next, there's nothing wrong with Jerry Remy. He'll be in the booth to join us for the triple play and talk about Pedro. Should Pedro be going to the All-Star game? That's the question. We'll have the answer next. Welcome back, everybody. Time for our triple play. Jerry Remy in the broadcast booth getting ready to call the game for us here on NESN. Jerry, Pedro's pitching today, and you know, Dennis Eckersley and I were talking off camera the other day, and I said, I guess I didn't have a real big problem with Pedro not going to the All-Star game, and Eck almost flipped out on me, saying Pedro, with the kind of season he's having, deserves to go. I'm curious what you think, because he does have very good numbers with the exception of the wins.
Well, let's put it this way. You know, if he was going to the All-Star game and they're going to try to win as they say they are, if you put Pedro out there to the starting pitch, you'd have a great chance of winning that game. There's no question about it. But there are a few guys, I think, in that situation. You've got Mike Messina, who probably could be there. Eddie Pettit's had a pretty good year. And Roger Clemens, if it's his last season, I think maybe he should be there too. But I can't really argue with it. You know, he did spend some time on the disabled list. I really don't have much of a problem with those who have been elected to go to the All-Star game as far as the pitching staff concerns, with the exception of those who have to be there because they're on another club. But look, you know, the guy's been on the DL, and that's one of the reasons I think the numbers aren't there, obviously, with the wins and losses. They could have more wins for him if the bullpen would have been better for him. But he didn't seem to complain very much about it. I think he would like to prefer to have the 3 days off. And quite honestly, I think I'd rather have him have the 3 dadays off. Yeah, it's probably better for the Red Sox, too, to have him have the time off. But it's amazing, Jerry. I guess we all kind of have the feeling that Pedro isn't Pedro. But when you look at what he's done this year, 6-1, a 1.57 ERA, if you take out that game against Baltimore, which was really an aberration. And you just kind of have a feeling that he's going to have a big second half. Well, and you know, that last game he pitched against the Yankees, even though he was not involved in the decision, I mean, that was Pedro of 3 or 4 years ago. That was the first time this season that I consistently saw that fastball around 93, 94 miles an hour, because in most of his games, it's been 90, 91. So you could tell he had a little more juice for that ball game against New York. So that's a good sign. You know it's there if he needs it. And I think, you know, obviously, if he can stay healthy, he's going to have a big second half of the Red Sox. Jerry, in contrast to Pedro as the #1 pitcher, in the #5 spot, it's John Burkett. And the guy takes a lot of abuse back here in Boston, I think, from Red Sox fans. Where do you think he stands right now in the rotation? I mean, all the trade talk and everything else, it seems like he's on borrowed time. But when you look at finally what he's done for this team, it's been pretty solid. Well, I think he was more on borrowed time maybe about 3 weeks ago. Since that time, he's pitched pretty darn well for the Red Sox. And, you know, for a #5 starter, what he's given you is not too bad. Now, with that said, you know, obviously the team is always trying to upgrade, and I think upgrade in their pitching department. Now, if they can go out and make a deal that would bring another starting pitcher to this club, I think they'd probably do that if they didn't have to give away the house to do it. So, you know, we're still going to have to see what becomes available over the next couple of weeks before the deadline, and that'll determine who's going to be in their rotation. But I also believe that if they have to go into the second half with the pitching they have right now, with Mendoza, who's pitched well twice, and with Burkett, I don't think they feel too badly about it.
Do you think it's part of an issue, Jerry, about thinking about October? I know we can't think about October here in July, but you have Pedro and Derek Lowe, and then you'd like to get a number 3 guy that you'd feel a little more confident in, I would imagine, behind those two.
Well, it's pretty obvious watching the playoffs and World Series over the last couple of years. You know, the better the pitching, the better chance you got to win. Really wasn't the case last season in the World Series, but certainly the year before and many years. So, you know, the stronger you can be in the starting rotation, especially in short series, the better off you're going to be. And, yeah, I would think that if you're in the contention to either win a division or you're in contention for a wild card spot, you have to think down the line and say, you know, what is our best possibility to win? What's the best pitching staff we could have? And I think they'll take all those things into consideration. Look, they're in that position right now. So as they go to make trades or look at trades, they're going to not only look at it from the short term, but is this the thing that can take us to the promised land?
Jerry, the news we just had moments ago that Manny will not play in the All-Star game, I think that's really good news for Red Sox fans, because you get scared with this hamstring injury. I would almost go so far as to say, give him today and tomorrow off, too, and just make sure that he's ready to go for the second half.
Well, you know, I'm not sure it's that bad, Bob. You know, I think if it was that bad, he would not be playing, and he would not be in the lineup. And the one thing he can do as DH is, you know, we don't depend on Manny for speed. So he's up there to hit, and he can put it in cruise control as he heads down that first base line. And obviously, if it comes to a situation late in the game where you need a key run, they'll pinch run for him and get somebody in there that can do the job. So if it was, I don't think it's real serious, because I think if it was serious, there's no way he'd be playing in these games right now.
All right, Jerry, we appreciate it.
Okay.
That's the Rem Dog. He'll call the game with Don Arcillo coming up in just a little bit here on NESN. Tomorrow, this is what will be in your Boston Globe. Jackie McMullen writes about the phenom LeBron James. Of course, a recap from all the action in Detroit and coverage of the U.S. men's soccer team at Gillette Stadium. It's all in your Boston Globe tomorrow. Almost ready for baseball, but first, the Sullivan Tire keys to the game, the pitching matchup.
For Matt Roney, he will be making his 5th start for Detroit. The Tigers are 3-23 in his last 26 appearances. He was paired up against Pedro in Boston, went 5 innings, and got the loss. The last time Pedro was out, he pitched extremely well, going 7 strong innings, only to get a no decision. Pedro should mow down the Tigers. Like Burkett, he has a great curveball, but it will be the fastball and awesome changeup that gives Pedro the win.
Do me a favor. Don't ever use John Burkett's name in the same sentence as Pedro Martinez again, okay?
But it's the curveball. He does have, you see last night, he was more or less putting him to sleep with it.
Yeah, we expect something big from Pedro. And good news for the Red Sox. It's a final now up in Toronto. The Yankees lose 10-3, so they're just 1 game out in the loss column, 1.5 games overall. And so if they win tonight, just 1 game back, a chance to be even at the All-Star break if things fall into place over the next 24 hours. That is the Boston Globe pregame report, everybody. Thanks for watching. And now stand by for Boston Red Sox baseball. The Red Sox and Tigers, it's next. Enjoy the game.